Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We call this thing Baltimore Positive. Always good to be with you. And warming up here as we warm up for an AFC and NFC championship game this week. And the purple plumes of smoke that we're awaiting in Owings Mills. Luke will be out there providing all of that. You'll get it first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. We have such great sponsors here entering 2026. Our friends at the Maryland Lottery have me out doing a cup of soup or bowl. And people say, well, what good are you, Ness? What good's WNST, your little radio, whatever? Well, I should be doing a whole bunch of charity work and community work in 2 weeks, telling stories of places you can support, places like the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital that Leonard Raskin supports so much with his golf tournament, and our friends at the Maryland Lottery have candy cane scratches to give away. I'm hoping it doesn't snow 5 feet the week of February 2nd, but we begin at Fadley's. We're going to be at State Fair. We're going to be at Coco's. We're going to be at Pizza John's in Essex, and we're going to conclude, and hopefully Leonard Raskin will be out for that. It'll be it's the Friday before the Super Bowl, and I know the Ravens aren't in the Super Bowl. They'll have a head coach by then. Well. We'll be at Costas in Timonium. I know one of your joints. How are you, man? A lot of football, college football, pro football over the weekend, but just a lot of football and a lot of football on the mind in regard to which one of these guys the Ravens are going to pick, because I've really been doing bio scanning on all of this. Yep. And reading up on guys' master's degrees in human resources and sports management and management in general, sport management.
They're not just X's and O's football, are
they? They're not ball coaches, you know?
No, well, some of them are, but some of them have other things to go along with. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you sent me over the criteria for head coach selection. It's a long list.
You know what? I would hold that sheet of paper up, but I shared it earlier, and matter of fact, you know what? I absolutely can pull it up, and we can share it if you'd like. But there's a story that goes along with it that I think you'll really appreciate. I almost feel like sometimes when we're doing the show, do you remember the old Cajun cook Justin Wilson? And he would say, he'd be cooking some chicken or something with wine,
Right.
And he'd go, I'm going to tell a story. I'm a storyteller. So here's my story for you. 27 years ago today, literally as we're speaking, I made the phone call at about 8:40 in the morning on the Tuesday after the Ravens or the Vikings lost the championship game. So I flew out to Minnesota on that Saturday afternoon. You'll appreciate this because I went to the barn and I saw Minnesota play Iowa in a basketball game in Minnesota, University of Minnesota, and then ran around 5-degree Minneapolis that night. And then I went to the Dirty Bird game, the game where Dan Reeves danced and Brian lost. And Brian sat on the ball, Randall Cunningham. Okay, so I saw him in the locker room after that game.
Right.
Vito Stellino was the other Baltimorean there at the Metrodome, which the roof blew open, and I'm down in the locker room. They just lost the NFC Championship game, and I said to Brian, "You coming to Baltimore?" And he pointed to me, young man. He looked at me, looked down as he always does because he's 6'7".
Yeah,
you could tell Mr. Modell I'm coming to Baltimore. Then I'm like, okay. So I called Kevin Byrne back before the press box was named after him that I'm locked out of because I didn't work hard enough. I was in friggin' Minnesota on my own dime trying to figure out who the coach is going to be when I had a little radio station here. The Ravens should hope that their next coach worked as hard as I worked in 1999 to make this thing great. As much as I tried, still 27 years later, I try to have the energy of the enthusiasm to attack the day with the enthusiasm unknown to mankind or whatever the Harbaugh thing. But back to Billick, because that's where this thing's going anyway. It's about job searches. So by the way, Leonard Raskin's here. He manages money, C-level, talks to a lot of people, the kind of people that make the world better and lead and hire and fire for better or worse and try to figure things out at a chief executive marketing operation head coaching level. So Brian told me on Sunday night, I'm coming to Baltimore. You can tell Mr. Modell whatever. We flew out that night from Minnesota on U.S. Air through Pittsburgh, got home. I remember I talked to Marvin that night because Marvin was getting fired. Marvin didn't have a gig. Marvin was going to go be the linebackers coach for Gunther Cunningham in Kansas City, like literally, or
Yeah,
the
sure.
Carolina Panthers, Dom Capers was going to hire him as a defensive coordinator. So like I remember all this is in the book, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
So that night I get back Monday, I come into the radio station and I called the Harbor Court Hotel and I rang through. I said, can you ring Billick, Brian Billick, putting you right through. Phone rang. Hello, Coach Billick, this is Nestor. I'm the short guy you met in the locker room yesterday in Minnesota. How you doing, young man? I thought I'd be hearing from you. And it was the Tuesday after, actually, because he had gone to dinner at Roost Chris on Monday night, which is why
Right.
I knew he was in Baltimore, because like Mark Viviano had chased him down at Roost Chris outside
Sure.
to get video
Sure.
of him walking in with Art Modell, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I called the hotel in the morning and got Brian on the phone, and Brian went on live in the radio station. I have the tape, I have it all. I mean,
Yep.
and I'm going to run some of this next week because it's the 25th
Sure.
anniversary of Purple Rain. So as we're on the 25th anniversary of how Brian Billick stormed the castle, speared the banshee, did all that, brought it back, I'm going to present
The
this list.
offensive superstar.
His
He was
email
offensive
address.
genius.
His email address was VOC, Vikings offensive coordinator for all of his life. VOC. He was the offensive genius, right? All right. So
Right.
here's the list. Can you see this? I
got it.
I want to
Yeah, I
share
got it.
this with everybody out in the community. Baltimore Ravens head coach. This is literally a sheet of paper that David Modell handed me, and he
There you go.
showed me this list when I was in his office the week before I went to Minnesota. So Leonard, there was a snowstorm. And I just drove past. It was the St. Paul Plaza right by Mercy Hospital at the top of the hill. They were in that Signet building. That's where I went to visit David. He was up on the top floor. He had a big office that looked out over the city.
Yeah.
Art. It was a big circle office. It was beautiful. And I went up to his office. It smelled like cigar smoke. He got a cigar out. He shuts the door. He's like, "Who's my next head coach?" And I'm like, "David, I don't know. I don't know." And he's like, "Gonna hire Brian Billick." This is what he said to me 5 days before I went to Minnesota.
That's
So
funny.
I was going to go to Denver for the championship game because Vinny was playing in the championship game against John Elway at Mile High, the original Mile. I never got to go to Mile High Stadium because I didn't go. David said to me, "You're not going to Denver. You're going to Minneapolis. Our next coach is going to be in Minneapolis, and he's going to win. He's going to go to the Super Bowl, and I can't hire him for three effing weeks." Because David was very beautifully.
Right.
I'm going to cry if I talk about the profane, the profanity of David Modell. He cursed in scripture. I mean, it was just you know. So anyway, I'm sitting in his office, and he had a binder, 3-ring binder, and at the time it was Chris Palmer. It was his dad wanted to hire Terry Donahue, who was the UCLA coach, because some of the old guys at the club called him Terry Donahue, you know, whatever. So David got real serious about this, and this is from my heart. This is gonna be a great segment, by the way, especially if you and I play along here as I share it, especially on the video side. And by the way, I don't know, every time I share a Leonard Raskin video, I get a lot of views. I mean, you must have like a popular. You must share this in your community. But nonetheless, Raskin Global manages money. We're trying to manage the head coaching search. This was David
Somebody's gonna get a lot
Modell's.
of money.
This is how David Modell hired Brian Billick, and not Chris Palmer, not Jim Haslett, who David loved Jim Haslett. David loved Jim Haslett, wanted to, you know, he thought Jim Haslett was going to be a great coach. I tell Chris Pica that all the time because Chris worked with him. So anyway, Baltimore Ravens head coach. So David shows me this in his binder on the roof when it was snowing. And I went down to his office, believe it or not. This is crazy, Leonard. But Art Modell owned 2 tickets in every stadium in the league. It was an old line ownership thing where every owner bought 2. So I sat in Art's tickets in Green Bay at the championship game in '96. Art had tickets, and they literally were just sitting in David's desk. And David's like, "If you don't pick them up, Baker Koppelman or whoever, Roy Summerhoff at the time, gave me I paid for them. I never took free tickets. I bought the tickets, and so they were I still have the stubs. I went to me and Scotty Panian, who owns Amici's, is one of my dearest friends in the world. We got on an airplane. We flew through U.S. Air. He had points, took me with him. We went out to Minneapolis. We saw a basketball game, and we sat in the upper deck in Art Modell's tickets on the 30-yard line in the upper deck of the in two regular seats. And I had a press pass, and I knew Brian was going to be the coach.
Yep.
And I went down and met Brian Billick, and he was very tall, as I've written about. So this was the profile,
This
and
is what
these
they
were.
wanted.
So you want to read from this because I want I want to hear your feedback because I've looked.
It's
This has been
great.
in my book from 27 years ago.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, look, you notice football knowledge. That's what stood out to me in the left-hand column here. You got 11 points on football knowledge. And that's out of 60 on the sheet.
So I'm going to read these. I want you to read them out loud. But there are in David's categories. There were 7 categories.
Yeah.
Of
yeah.
11, 5, 11, 10, 6, 6, and 12. And this is
about
a sheet
60,
of paper.
About 60, so 70 items, and 11 of them are football.
All right, so let's go through the
first
thing.
Tells you who they were hunting for. Tells you who they were hunting for.
Leadership.
Yep.
So
yep.
You go ahead and read. You tell me.
What do you want?
Let's go through it. Let's go through it. No, let's go through this. Number 1, disciplined approach. Number 2, expects accountability, attention to detail. Number 3, gains and commands respect. Number 4, motivates players to want to excel. Number 5, teacher. Number 6, presence. Number 7, goal-oriented. Number 8, ability to effectively communicate goals. Number 9, ability to motivate troops to pursue unified goals. Number 10, confident, conveys confidence to others. Number 11, assistant coach mentality, question mark. That's the first part of the building right there. Thank you, David Modell. I love you.
And I'm going to guess that this was specifically put in order of what was most important.
You know what?
Or you don't know?
At some point, I sat with David and talked about this. At some point, I handed this list to Brian Billick when I wrote the book. I literally handed it to him. He said, I've seen this list. David gave it to me when he hired me. Literally, that's what he said to me. So this is not, these are phrases. These aren't even sentences, right? In some cases, they're one word. It almost looks like a crossword puzzle.
I was going to say,
right?
It's a stream of consciousness.
I think it's more than that because it's on. First off, David had a computer at this point in his life, so we're talking about 1998. So we are talking, dude. We're talking 29 years ago. And Leonard, before I'm going to pull this down for anybody watching, I just want to say this. Do you think Art ever wrote this out in that era? Was that something old guys did in the 50s and 60s?
I would have bet.
But not everybody in the world thought this way. They weren't taught this way. Business school didn't teach you this way. I didn't learn to do this in Dundalk High School. I learned to do this in the real world. What a SWOT analysis would be. How businesses run.
That's right. What did Art Modell do for football besides the Browns, right? He transformed the game. There wouldn't be Monday night, Sunday night,
He ran the media
night,
committee,
Saturday
competition
night.
committee, all of that. Right,
and he made shit happen. And there is no doubt that the man had more thought than just being a football guy.
Okay, well, David put this in writing, and this was David probably sitting with his father, probably sitting with some level of consortium,
bet.
you know?
I'll bet.
Yeah, so, okay, Section 2 out of 7. Successful background and experience. Number 1.
Look at number 1. Association with winning programs. 2. Association with excellence. 3. Head coach, college or pro. 4. Coordinator, college or pro. 5. Assistant coach, college or pro. The first one on there. Again, I think these are in some sort of hierarchical order. Association with winning programs. To me, that just says all the reason in the world why, thank goodness, in my opinion, of course, and I could be wrong, thank goodness the Atlanta Falcons chose to hire the Cleveland Browns head coach. Who was it? Was it Herm Edwards, right? I
But he
want
did a lot of
winners.
winning in Minnesota. So here's where I am on the association winning programs. I think it's really germane to this week and what we're talking about. The Ravens are waiting on about 6 people who are
Yep,
playing in championship games this weekend.
yep.
And the reason you're waiting on them is they're winning right
Can't do them.
now, not
Right.
winning in 2003 like John
That's
Harbaugh
right.
did,
That's
right?
right.
And it is fascinating to see how many of these characteristics that
Yep.
dude, I've had an 18-year effing insider in his office, in his
Yep.
life, in cabs
Yep.
with him, in airplanes with him, in every way. I know John Harbaugh better than almost, I mean, maybe Sandusky or a couple of people in the media that fly on airplanes with him,
Yep.
that
Yep.
he would, have favor with them and so much. I know Harbaugh way better than Jamison Hensley knows Harbaugh, way better than Jeff Srebeck knows
Sure.
Harbaugh,
Sure.
way better than Luke knows Harbaugh.
Well,
So
he now.
if I would say to you, this list here that got Brian hired,
Yep.
and I know Brian better than I know any of them.
Yep.
Any
Yep. Yep.
Brian and Marvin and a couple other people that I know really well, right? This list, if I and I hadn't even thought about this. I'm not even doing shtick here, Leonard. I just pulled this out
I
because
get it.
you brought it up, and I'm like, let's go do it because this is a
Yeah. Let's
great
do it.
segment for you
Right.
and me, right?
Right.
Especially for what you do for a living, But anyway, tell
Absolutely.
me what you do for a living, and then we'll go back to this list.
We handle money. We handle everything that people need to know and do about money. In this regard, what you're talking about here. We have a definition of financial success that is an objective criteria to measure whether or not you're moving forward towards your American dream, towards creating that success that you want in your life, to be able to do the things for yourself, your family, your community that are available to you. Everything from your cash flow to your debts to your way you save money, the way you spend money, the way you protect your wealth, grow your wealth, most importantly, enjoy your wealth. And this sheet is a great hiring guide. I think if you're in business and you're going to bring somebody on, key person to your company, you better know what you want in that person. You better spell that out. And I think it's important that they know it, because if this is what's going to get them hired, my hunch is a lack of this is what might get them fired.
Well, and the
So
understanding of what is the job and what are
what's
the
expected?
expectations, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
What's expected?
So,
And so
and
right
this was
now,
early for me in my life. I had done no hiring in my life in 1998 to be
yeah,
sitting next to David
same,
Modell.
same.
I knew nothing about the world 29 years ago.
Yeah,
All the people I'm charged with firing, I get no credit for ever hiring them. I created my competitor. It's
right,
hilarious to have
right.
people tell me, after I went out and sweat and carried boxes of signs around with Bob Haney's name on it and Rob Long's name. It's crazy to me that you wouldn't respect at least that part of it, that I wrote books about this shit 30
Well,
years ago.
the fact is,
Yeah.
nobody, not nobody, but a lot of people in my world, same. I hired lots of people. I helped grow lots of people, help create careers for a lot of people, families and opportunities for a lot of people. And then they leave and go on their merry way, or you had to separate for whatever reason. I call it a carefrontation. It's time to move on. You need to do something else.
Well, John and Steve had one of those about $50 million last week in front of the world, right?
And then they never talk to you again, and they act like you destroyed their life, when in fact, if not for who knows what they'd be doing today. So I get the same thing. And so people know who hired them. They don't want to talk to who fired them. Hey, look, for some people that's okay. For other people, that's their
I didn't do a
thing.
lot of firing around it. Did a lot more hiring than I ever did firing, to be really honest with you. But this part
Yeah,
of it was for me very educational for a 29-year-old version of Nasty Nestor who barely had a radio station, was trying to still writing checks out of a checkbook, but
right.
literally small, done. My parents didn't
Yeah,
have a business.
yeah.
I had
Same.
lost the radio station around this period of time too, like coming in and coming out. I hadn't had the 90. I'm trying to think of the timing of all of this because it's all very convoluted at the end. Either way, David Modell put this list in front of me, and we're
Yep.
talking about this list, and it's up on my Facebook. It's actually in the middle of the Steve Bisciotti letter. I'm going to put the better picture of it in there because I grabbed a screenshot off the internet. So Part 3 of the 7 parts, football
Yep.
knowledge and philosophy. And I'll run through these quickly. Reliance on fundamentals, offense, defense, special teams, talent evaluation, strength, weakness, innovate, strategy, roots of offense, defense systems, knowledge and ability to implement systems, experience, play calling,
Hmm.
interesting, and game
Yep.
planning. So there's 11 football pieces that this would be all that fans care about, right? In the whole list, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
literally, they don't care if the guy's an a-hole behind closed doors. By the way, this list was put together, and with all due respect to Art and David, and even Kevin
Yep.
Byrne and
Yep.
Brian and Ted Marchibroad, anybody else, this is the inside skinny on this list. Are you ready, Leonard? You're sitting down, right? You got your dog too.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do
This
it.
list was put together, and I've now it all comes back to me when I'm looking at it. I have to be looking at the piece of paper to get my mind into where I was.
Yeah.
I was
Sure.
sitting at this round table with David in his office, and Kevin Byrne made no bones about it 96, 97, and 98 that Bill Belichick did not get along with anybody in Cleveland. Anybody,
Right.
right?
Right.
Anybody. And Art, David, Ozzy, all of them had a very, very negative opinion of Bill Belichick in 1997 and 1998 and 1999. Okay. Like literally, this list was put together. There are probably 8 or 9 things on here
Yep.
that David and Art thought these are the things that wrecked us in Cleveland at the end, helped us not get a stadium. We had a
There
coach who
you
was a
go.
dick even when we won. He was miserable when we won. He miserable. This is all in Purple Rain 1. So I
Yeah.
wrote a
Sure.
book denigrating Bill Belichick, and 5 minutes later, he won 15 championships in a row and
Right.
is going to the
Right.
Hall of Fame. And
Right.
this list, I can cherry pick on this list the things that the Modells hated
Yeah.
about Belichick in regard to communication skills, which we're going to get to here, personal traits. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this, Belichick was otherworldly and didn't need to have that skill set by the time he got to New England in some way, right?
Sure.
Especially when you
Sure.
have a quarterback, right? So the football
That's
side
it.
of this is what fans are going to talk about this week. Then there's management
Absolutely.
skills. And then this relates to anybody that you do business with or I do business with, Leonard,
No
right?
question. No question. When you look at a company, when you're a business owner, when you're hiring, firing key people, this is what it's about. So management skills, attention to detail, makes good critical analysis. One of the things I see all the time is people that can't can't think big, can't do critical thinking. They can do what they're told, but they can't take a step beyond that to do what they could. It's big. Critical decision making ability, loves pressure. Wow.
Pressure's a
That
privilege.
There you go.
now,
That's a big one. Problem solver, loves a challenge, delegates or micromanager. That's an
what,
interesting one.
we're 25, 30, 32 pieces into this,
Yep.
and this will kill you.
Oh, if you're a
This,
business,
this is number one, and this is what I'm terrible at, or, like
yep.
this will
Yep.
destroy you, right? Literally.
Well, if A go back up to number
You could be
3.
great at everything else above there.
Yeah. Yeah, go back to 2 and 3. If you don't have the people to do 2 and 3, then you feel like you got to do everything in 5. And if you can't delegate or you micromanage people as a business owner, you're just tied up in buying the paper clips. Your game is over. Relates well and respects all facets of the organization, willing to compromise, how they handle the administrative
Willing to
roles,
compromise. That's in on Belichick, dude. There are lines in here that literally were David Modell middle fingers to Belichick
saying we don't want
saying
that.
we
Can't
can't
do
have
that.
this again.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
can't do this again. And part of it was Marchabroda. These were some of the things that they looked at Ted and
Yep.
talked about. We're going to get the personal traits about his work ethic, about how he was spiritually centered, how he handled adversity, the ego. Ted was egoless, right? Like, so
Yeah.
some of these things we're going to get to in a minute, Ted had an abundance at that moment, but
And they
Ted
knew
had
they
lost
wanted it.
his way in other
Right.
ways and
Right.
was tired and older, and he was a
And ready to
caretaker. We
go.
all knew that. And they were looking for the next great thing. David
It is
Modell was
amazing.
charged with
It is
finding
amazing to
Brian Billick
think.
with it. He found a Super Bowl coach with this list.
It is amazing to think of all the years, and you look around the league, and we've had 3 coaches. It's stunning. I mean, how many has Cleveland had more coaches or quarterbacks? I don't know. I mean, it's
Cleveland's had more
absolutely
quarterbacks
amazing.
than this list. It's 70,
Right.
70
I mean,
names on this list.
it's amazing to me. You look at these teams that are constantly in reshuffle mode, not rebuild, but just they're getting along to get along, and how many coaches they've had. I don't care if you have a quarterback, if you have a good team, whatever. These guys, and it blows me away how they leave one place, go to another place, and just keep getting jobs. It's time for some fresh blood
Well,
here.
here we're getting to the point here that's really important that would be under the football side. How to
Yep.
handle administrative role where
Yep.
Harbaugh is perceived with the Giants as a CEO coach, selection of staff. And this is
Yeah, it's going
where,
to be big.
dude, did you notice that Harbaugh held out over the weekend for a day and a half to get his deal done?
Yeah.
Did you notice
You
that?
bet.
And it
Yes.
was about that triangle of who am I reporting to?
And who
Who's picking
reports
my
to me?
coaches?
Who do
Hey,
I get to
what's your
hire?
job and what's my job? And
That's right.
Harbaugh has a list like this as well and saying,
And guess
this is
what?
on my list.
Why?
Chad Steele doesn't work for me. Wink, 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 wink,
Right.
wink, nudge, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Why would he take a job where he didn't have power and control? And I'm assuming a guaranteed contract, but I don't know that.
Oh,
But
it's definitely guaranteed.
what I heard in the media, what I heard was 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, 100 million is
That's
what I heard.
correct. That's correct.
So that's 20 million a year to be a
Yes.
head coach.
He was
That's
making
magnificent.
17 here. Yes.
Right, that's magnificent. And I found it also funny. I did not know this, but I think this is accurate that he now doesn't get paid by Steve for the out of his contract.
That's correct.
So Steve just saved $50 million.
Correct.
Which he talked about in the press conference, if you recall. He said, I told John, take a year or so off. You'll still be hot. You'll travel, you'll go away with your wife. You'll decide if you want to get back into coaching, and they'll still want you. And he said, and I'm happy to pay you while you're figuring that out. And then he said, if you go somewhere else, I'll be happy to save the money too.
Right.
So how about Steve just putting $50 million back in his pocket? That's
well,
not
and
a
that
bad
speaks
deal.
to the coaches. If you're hiring a Nate Schillhouse, like a young coach,
Yep.
he's going to be $4.5 $5 million a year. If you
Right.
want the guy you don't want Stefanski, he's
Right.
more of a 10 or $12 million a year. If
Yeah,
you
you
want
know who
John
else I don't
Harbaugh, he's
want?
$20 million.
I don't want McDonald out of Miami.
McDaniel.
Sorry, McDaniel out of Miami. I don't want him either.
So it's amazing the wide scope of salaries that these guys
Yes.
have,
Yes.
and how guys
Who
who've
they're gonna
never
have to
won
pay.
had an agent that when they were so hot. Kevin O'Connell, $13 million a year. He hadn't won anything.
Yep.
Whereas guys who've won, like the Bengals coach, is making $5 million a year because he works for a cheap owner. Period. Yep. And the Packers report their salary because they're publicly owned. He makes $5 million a year. He makes $5 million a year.
He's getting a new deal now, right? He's supposed to get.
And if Mike McCarthy gets the deal in Pittsburgh, here's the God's honest truth: the Steelers can hire Brian Flores for $9 million a year or $10 million a year. If they want Mike McCarthy, he's going to be 18 or 20.
A little more.
Little more. So I mean, and then that speaks to whether you're a cheapskate organization or not.
Dallas? Who's in Dallas?
That's Schottenheimer.
Oh, right. McCarthy's out there.
Yeah, he was waiting for this cycle.
Yeah, he's waiting. He took a year off.
And if he doesn't get a gig, Harbaugh would come back and say Belichick sat out. You saw how that went. No. Some scandal breaks and I don't get a gig. No.
That's right.
I got to get in a seat.
He took the Giants. Good ownership, strong history, and $100 million. All
right, let's get back to this list here because I want to finish this list.
Yeah, let's go.
So, selection of staff and recruiter were the last parts of the management skills. Now we're going to the second column now, so we're about 65% of the way through this.
Yep.
Part 5 is communication skills, and this is all about Belichick, and it's all that Billick was, and all that Harbaugh wasn't. Like literally, understands and respects role of media. John fails. Non-combative.
Wait. Do you think he failed full tenure, or do you think he failed after
I don't think
issues?
he ever understood what we did because I sat in the
Okay.
office with him. I told
Okay.
the story last week. I sat and had breakfast with him after the first year, and I
Yeah.
said to him, "When you go in and do a press conference, who's your audience?" He said, "My players." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Kevin didn't tell you that." Well, I don't listen to Kevin. Yeah, yeah, right, right, because he
Right.
didn't. Right. So non-combative
Okay.
attitude toward media. I took Billick up on this. Yeah, Mike Preston wouldn't appreciate this because he thought I was up Billick's sphincter. If he knew how many times I went into Brian and challenged Brian, Brian was like a turd in the media room several times, but
Yeah.
one time after a victory, it was kind of a wave it in your nose kind of a thing. And I went back to Brian and I said to him, this is why Brian loved me, for better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said to Brian, and I used to go back in his little cubicle. He would shower, flop his hair, do his shoes, tie. Like I watched his whole routine. Toweling off, talking to me, brushing his teeth, yelling at me. This is the relationship I had with Brian
Yeah. Sure.
for 10 years, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I went into him and I'm like, dude, that wasn't any good. He what? What do you mean? I'm like, don't watch yourself on the film. You're not going to, that wasn't attractive, man. You won. Don't take it out on Preston. Like you won. I mean, I'm a fan in the upper deck, Brian. I'm watching it.
Right.
You don't want to
Right.
be a dick. Don't be a dick, right? I would say that to Brian. Like, you don't need to be like that.
Right.
And Brian respected that at the time,
Right.
25 years ago. You
Sure.
know what I mean? Like literally. So anyway, this is Brian's list or the list that got Brian hired. So okay. Understands and respects role of community. It's why
Yep.
Brian was standing in the barn and John Harbaugh never did that. Ever,
Yep.
ever, ever.
Yep.
Willingness to recruit the community. Okay. Speaking skills. John was great at that.
Yeah.
Physical appearance. Oh, John looked good.
Yeah.
Goals and objectives. This is part 6 in the thing.
Yep.
Number
And
one,
this is football-y. Again, this is football-y.
read them off. Go ahead, read them off, Leonard.
Back to the football knowledge. So we got a plan. Number 2, length of time to win.
Hmm.
So they didn't, and I heard that from Steve in the press conference. He don't want to wait around. He's not ready to wait around. He's got 10 years. He needs 2 Lombardis in 10 years.
Length of time to win is right here, right now, with a $60 million quarterback.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Use of the draft, use of free agency, use of young players, and use of veterans. I think John did a pretty good job there.
100%. We won a lot of football games here, dude. I mean,
absolutely,
really did.
Absolutely.
All right, now here comes the last part. And this is like the part when you're reading the bio that's like hobbies, what what their wife and dog's
Family,
names are,
right, exactly,
like whatever.
Exactly.
As you're petting, I see your dog moving. My cat came in the studio. My cat loves you, Leonard. My cat's never done the show with me before. She's like literally asleep in the. So anyway, personal traits. Number 1, overriding desire for excellence.
Key.
Great personal trait. Number 2, exhibits drive to succeed in all aspects of life. That kind of means well-rounded, right? That would be well-rounded is what we would say here, right?
Well, that means you don't necessarily spend 1,000 hours in the office. You have a life. And it matters.
Are you a happy human? Maybe would be somewhere in there for me.
Right.
Because I can't pay you enough to make you happy if you're a miserable MFer. You know what I mean? I can't.
Exactly.
And that was where they were with Belichick at this point. I mean, literally, I keep coming back to this is a Belichick list, and David would have no problem with me bringing that up out loud because it's in the book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Number 3, demanding but fair. I agree with that. Brian Billick was demanding but fair. John Harbaugh, not fair. I wouldn't put that with John. Number 4, home life, wife, kids, their habits. 2 winners and humans, right? I mean,
yeah, there you go.
John's daughter's going to law school. She Notre Dame, beautiful, wonderful. Number 5, work ethic.
Yep.
If I'm, by the way, Rex Ryan came in with Brian, and I got to know Rex early. I know his dad. I did the TV show with Buddy, so Rex wanted to meet me. My dad's told me a lot about you. So Rex would always say, and I would sit in his office with Mike Pettin, and we would that would literally have ribs, wings. I'd stop
Yep.
by the Popeyes out there and bring some chicken in. We'd sit and Rex would always say, "We don't coach effort around here. We don't coach effort around here." And there's a point where, like, as a person who hired people, I
Yep.
heard that in my ear all the time. Like, we don't coach effort. So work
Yeah, you got to
ethic,
bring that. You got to
right?
bring it.
Work ethic. Number 6, spiritually centered, whatever that means to you. Number
Yeah.
7, avocations. Okay. Number 8, how to handle adversity. Number 9, ego. And I guess if they were looking for a lot of ego, they got Brian. Although Brian was only egotistical on the front side of it, like
Yeah.
the television side of it. Behind closed doors, Brian has a whole different account that's about him. I can't I that I know
Yeah.
about. Attitude, goals, and balance. So therein lies a lifetime of wisdom for Art Modell and David Modell that
Yeah.
went into hiring a Super Bowl winning coach. Steve
Twice.
Bisciotti did not bring such a list to me. And if he did, he would
Yeah.
not share it. I did talk to him in Purple Rain 2, and it's at the front of Baltimore Positive in the chapter that I wrote about the low profile and high standards of Steve Bisciotti, that he had his own criteria. You know what I
Sure.
mean? That was different
Sure.
than this. Because obviously, this is not the criteria that's going to hire the next guy.
Right. But it's damn good criteria if you look at it. If I mean, how can you go wrong? You check the boxes here. You're going to pick a winner, and you're going to pick a to be Baltimore guy. And I mean, look, this place is Smaltimore for a reason. Clearly, community matters. Clearly, players matter. Uh, for some
You had the
reason,
owner stand in front of you, who gives
yep,
him thousands of dollars a year,
yep,
tens of thousands if they play in London and go to the Super Bowl next year.
sure.
And he said the fans don't matter. That literally said that out loud. I'm blown away, and I
I
know
don't
how
think he
flippant he
said
was or
that. I
whatever.
don't think
But
he said it like that. What I heard was, did you listen to the fans and the booing and the, making, did that make your decision or did that impact your decision? And he said, what I heard was that wasn't the deciding factor in the decision. But after that, he came back and said, well, of course I heard that. Of course I listened to that. He didn't answer that question
yeah,
well.
it was
But he
contradictory,
did
as I
he
pointed out
did
in my
circle
25 questions
back.
for him. Yes.
He did circle back to it did matter.
Listen, I don't need to hold him to every single word he says on the podium, but when he only says words every 8 years, I'm going to hold him to
Yeah,
every syllable.
you
I'm
gotta
going to hold
hear
him to
it.
every
That's right.
syllable because
That's right.
I didn't get any follow-ups, and neither did anybody else.
No.
So whatever he said is what he said, and if he
Yep.
wants to
Yep.
correct it, he can come on my show and sit like a human being, not like a billionaire, like the guy he was 25 years ago. Because as I've said, and this is it took me a little while, and I mean, you and I did a very quick aftermath, right? Like last time
Yep.
you and I got together was like an hour
A
after the press
day.
conference,
Yeah,
right?
right after.
So, okay,
Right
I've
after.
had time to marinate, right? I've had
Yep.
time to pray a little bit and meditate, and I've done yoga 5 times since the last time I saw you, which is why I look so good.
There you go.
And I find it to be this: if we all change in 25
Yep.
years, I feel
Yeah,
like I'm
absolutely.
a far better person
Yeah.
than the person
I
that
hope
I
I
met.
hope so.
Any of the people that I've met along life's highway, in regard to being the bigger man when I've needed to be, apologize what my wife's been through, what I've been through business, just in living a public life that's been very
Yeah.
bizarre, where your only value
You
is how
gotta
many
hope.
how many clicks you get or whatever. So I get all the perspective of that. And I get the perspective of I wanted to be rich enough to own a minor league hockey team and have you be a sweet holder for me over at the new arena.
Yeah.
That's how rich I wanted to be. I wanted to own a minor league hockey. That was the greatest, other than living on a beach or living on a cliff in San Diego. I don't know
Yeah.
that I had any dreams like that 25 years ago. You handle my money, so I'm not doing that anytime soon. Although we'll lay in a condo, it's still possible for me at some
There you
point
go.
if I hit it big in the lottery. But Steve Bisciotti's hit it big at every level. He
Yep.
came into this with 350 million, then turned it into 650 million, as I wrote in Purple Rain 1 that was in this book. And then it's now worth 6 billion. He's on a different
Billions.
farm. He bought the
That's right.
team probably not thinking he was going to leave Maryland because of tax reasons. He's never around. He's checked out by his own admission.
Yes.
And the arrogance that dripped off of him. And when I talk to somebody, and I don't want to be profane, but another one of my friends and clients and a person in my world, when we talked about it, they said he had that billionaire, begins with a Richard, ends with a head, energy about him. He had energy about him. And that's not the guy I met
Well, right.
taking a
Look,
pee
you
at Cole
didn't.
Fieldhouse 30 years ago in the upper deck in Jacksonville when I sat with him. The guy that picked me up after the Ramsey concert and came to my home and sat in my couch and strummed the guitar. The guy that grabbed me at the owners' meetings and insisted that I spend 2 hours on a veranda with Jim Irsay trying to convince Jim Irsay to give us back the. Like, I see that guy from outside now, and I see the way he
Yep.
speaks to people and the way he is on, and how aggressive he was. Dude, you are a billionaire. Banning media people, being petty, taking shots at your offensive coordinator on the stage, like just not being prepared for the press conference, even
Look,
though you feel like you don't need to be prepared. I look at it a week later and I'm just like, he is at a different level of everything in
That's right.
every way, and he's
That's
a
right.
billionaire. And
Yep.
Leonard, how much money would it take for you and I to concoct together? You're my money guy. That if we dreamed up a thing and over the next 5 years, you could piss me out 10 million, 20 million, 100 million. Dude, if you could piss me out 2.7 million in the next
Right.
10 years that could be a nest egg that I could give to somebody
Yep.
like you, I
Yep.
would be such an advancedly happy,
Yeah, it
adjusted,
doesn't do it.
kind
It
individual.
doesn't do it.
But the
It doesn't do
money
it. Let me
doesn't
tell you.
matter. The
It
money,
doesn't
he's
matter.
a billionaire and he
Doesn't
comes
matter.
at it like there, I just watched it last week, and to
Look,
me, I
here's
don't.
what it
It's
does.
sad to me because it
Here's
doesn't
what it
feel like he's
does.
having any fun with this,
No, no,
and
no.
it's
Wait.
sad.
Wait. So money's a very personal thing. Very personal thing. And if you think it's happiness, it ain't never happiness. What it does for anybody is it amplifies what's under the cover. If you're a jerk, you become a bigger jerk. If you're a good person, you become a bigger, a wealthier, better person. If you're a philanthropist, you become a bigger
And
philanthropist.
by the way, he's giving all his money away.
Well, that's what he says.
That's. I mean, he told me that the night he was in my house. I mean, like,
Yeah,
and he's
I don't
told
know.
everybody, and every philanthropy in this region is
Yep,
lining up to
to
get
get that
to
money,
get part of $6 billion. I mean,
and it'll be more. It'll be more at some
and he
point.
might wind up having a legacy here that rebuilds the city in an incredible way. But
He
I'm,
may.
and I hope he does. I really do. I hope he does. But showing
But the
up
other
every
thing
eight
is,
years and acting like it was a gift for WNST to have my employee who's chased his team around and my company's chased him around for 30 years and I bought tickets, that it was a gift to breathe the same air that Luke could ask one question that was a good question according to him.
it was a good
And
question.
and I don't get it. That was not the dude that came
Well,
in here
that's what I'm
25
saying.
years ago. It
That's what
really
I'm saying.
wasn't.
Here's the other thing though. The higher you get on the scale from a money standpoint, you act again, you amplify the act. So if he had, and I don't know if he is, and I don't know his family. How many married? How many
I
kids?
knew
I have no
Renee
idea.
25 years ago, but I've never met his children. I don't even know what they
Do you
look
know how
like.
many children he has?
I'd be guessing, but I think he has two. But I'm
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
not even sure.
So my point
That's
is
how
this. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably in my book, but I don't.
Right.
It's not.
My point
Yeah,
is this. If you get new money, okay? If you're first generation and you create wealth and you have new money, you can't be old money. If you look around the league, for instance, at some of the owners and the way they behave and
they have
who
two
they
sons,
are,
by the way. Yes, I'm just reading from
okay.
Wikipedia. Okay, yes.
If
Sorry.
you if you look around the league and you look at some of these owners and how they act and who they are, I think you'll see that the ones that are old money act differently than the ones that are new money with regards to everything they do and how they are. And Steve can never be old money because he created it all. So he's got a different thing about him than somebody who's inherited it
And he's
second,
flipping
third.
about it. He got really pissed at La Canfora when La Canfora calls him an oligarch.
Yeah,
I made my money.
that's
Well,
right.
But
That's right.
that has nothing to do with owning the football team and whatever the civic
No, but
responsibility
my
of
point
and what
is
my list would be of what an owner should be, which is
right.
show
But the
up
point
once a
is,
year and
it's how.
be a part of our community, even if you're
But he
faking
has
it.
no desire. He has
He's
right. Well,
none.
that's
He
the
has
thing.
no desire.
That's the thing, and you don't want. I don't want him to fake it. I'd rather the integrity of a man that says this is a hobby, but I have to pay attention to it, than say this is my burning desire, everyday dream. He had that coming out of college, right? I mean, who was he? He's a guy who set up a company to hire people and get him a job.
In his
That's what
garage.
he was. That's what he was.
You have
And
no
that
idea how much
company,
respect I had for
right? But I'm
him
saying
that
that
I've lost
company
for him in
grew.
regard to the bigger you get, the more checked out you are. That doesn't
No, it's
fall in
just his
line with
choice.
any
It
of.
was just his choice. It's not a matter of look. He could have the same amount of money, and he could be an active owner, and he could be there all the time. He could be there after every game. He could be there once a year. He
By
could be there
every account, he
whatever.
got very fed up with the league and very fed up with all of it when the Ray Rice thing did not reflect well upon him, and that's the
Yep.
end.
And he
So
pulled himself
he'd be
out.
there for the trophy, but not going to be there for the car wreck, and
Right. And he
that's
pulled
sad.
himself out and said, I'm going to be an absentee owner. And so he
The
is.
way the Modell
So,
family's been treated in this,
yeah, well, if,
there were two parties for the Super Bowl reunion as it coming up because that's where it
right.
is, and
Well,
it's just
if
not cool.
I don't know why
It
the
doesn't
league
have to
doesn't
be
have
that
Martin
way.
Modell in the Hall of Fame yet. It's ridiculous. It's
Wow, I didn't
ridiculous.
even realize that. Art's not in the Ring of Honor. Of course he is, right? No.
No, the Hall of Fame,
Oh, the
the
Pro Football Hall
league,
of. Well, he
pro
can't affect
football.
that. He can't affect that.
Right. No, but I'm just saying that should be, but things happen. So, Steve, as he said, he thought he wanted a gold jacket and some Super Bowls, and he didn't really care about a gold jacket. And he'd like to have a couple more Super
You know what
Bowls
I
and sell
want? I
this
want a
asset
team I
and
can be
go on about
proud
his
of. That's it.
business.
I mean, at the
Right.
end of the day, I was a ticket holder, a stakeholder, a community holder. I flew their
Yep.
flag. I flew their flag
Yep.
for believing in them. How can I believe in them when I know stuff about Justin Tucker that I can't report? Because I literally, how could at some point they've been
Yep.
incredibly dishonest with the citizen in me, the ticket holder in me, the fan in me, and
Well,
certainly
look,
the
we
media member and the business
we were at
owner
Costas.
and the truth teller in all of this. Because I've never
We
told a
were at
lie about them because I
Costas.
wouldn't lie on their behalf, which is one of the reasons they threw me out.
Yeah, we were at Costas when a couple guys accosted us about Tucker and said, "Leave him alone. He didn't do anything." We had that. We had that community
Well,
presence.
he
So
hasn't had
people,
that. He hasn't had that. I mean, I don't think that, and I'll leave you with this. And it
yeah,
really is again my overriding thought on all of this is how checked out he is when
yep,
the questions started coming in that it was like not that he wasn't prepared for the question or that he and Chad Steele didn't have like a talk about it and say, what are the
right,
5 things I'm going to need to talk about today? It's
right.
literally like no one had ever asked him these questions
I get
before.
it. I
And
get
that's
it.
the really weird part of his power play and the
Yeah.
power in the room and the fact
Yep.
that people are comparing him to like Pacino and Scarface and
Uh,
Goodfellas on the internet in regard to his
that's
demeanor.
funny.
And I'm
That's funny.
like,
I hadn't seen
that's
that.
not really where you want to be compared. You
No,
know what I
no,
mean?
that's
To
funny.
being like a
Say
heavy
hello.
tough guy and all that.
Say
I'm
hello
like,
to my little friend.
dude, you own the team
And we just
saying the
gave you
fans don't matter and like
$600 million.
all of these different things that you're saying. I
We just
didn't
gave you
understand the
600
angst.
million, baby. Let's
I
go.
didn't understand how he came to the podium and wanted to like brawl with 4 reporters in the front and 80 of his employees in the back of a room on the internet. And even the body language, I still go back to it and I'm like, dude, you're going to come out once every 8 years. At least come out to recruit me back.
Right.
Tell
I
my
get it.
audience that I'm the jerk I'm just making all of this up, and you're this awesome, really cool hipster owner, cares a lot, touchy. No, dude, you're a dude on a yacht, and you don't care about any of this other than winning. I want to hold a trophy,
I want to
and I want
win
to
and I want
sell
to
the
sell
team
it.
for 10 billion. Yeah, yeah,
Amen. Amen.
okay,
That's his
dude,
world right now.
right?
That's his
And that's
world.
sad. That's
Well,
sad
that's what he communicated, and that's what we got.
that it was
Now we got to get
such
a now we got
drudgery.
to get a new coach,
The
and
only
we hope
thing worse than
they
owning the
pick a good
team is
one.
having to like stand in front of my customers and like deal with it. Like literally, that's what it felt like to me. And I'm like, who else can get away with this? Like
Well,
who other than Trump? Who else can get away with
that's
it?
what you have when you're the owner, and
Yeah.
they gave you 600 million, and you get to laugh.
Yeah.
So
Well, you
there we
know, I
go.
love the team. I love the sport. I,
Right,
I, I, I
and we'll see what comes
if
next. We
this is
got
what
a couple
leadership
weeks
is,
to see.
I'm interested
No,
to see what
well,
the
that's
coach looks like.
right.
I'm interested in what
Be
what Steve Bisciotti's list is and how
right
many
because
of
now
these
it's on
things are
him.
not important to him.
It's on him and Eric now.
And you know what? If I had Bisciotti and DaCosta on the air right now and Sashi, they would
Yep.
look at that list and claim it's theirs. They'd say,
Yeah,
"Oh, that
well,
list is everything we want," and then they would do. And I would say, "How many of these things that Harbaugh not really have that you're going to bullshit me about?" That
well,
18 years into this, I'm going to tell you I know he didn't have these things, and you're going to say he had everything. Hey, look, the Giants, he has everything. Like I keep telling the Giants reporters, "Hey, man, you know he's got
get
strengths and
ready.
he's got
Get
weaknesses.
ready.
You know he's got
Well, look,
start with paranoia, and
he's going
paranoia
to
is the
be in New
hardest thing in
York.
the world to deal with. You're
He's going
cheating
to
on me.
be
No,
in
I'm
New
not. You're
York.
cheating on me. No, I'm not. There's your paranoia. It's all over with, right?
He's going to
There's
be
the
in New
end of the
York, and that
relationship.
media, we all talk about, everybody talks about the New York media. We'll find out.
Paranoia means you don't trust people.
I get it.
There you go. Well, there you go. Hey, you know, like let's go back to leadership number 3, lesson number 4, right?
Yep.
Delegating.
I got it.
Leonard
There we
Raskin,
go.
I love you. Raskin Global, he's out there. Go find him. We're Baltimore positive. Stay with us.